The Bears have a familiar problem. They do not currently have a good quarterback, as Caleb Williams ranks 31st out of 37 quarterbacks in my combined stat that combines 4 advanced metrics into one stat. So, with that said, Williams is really rough, and what makes it worse is the fact that Jaden Daniels is a completely sensational player as a rookie when they could have drafted him instead of Williams. It still remains to be seen if Williams will be the guy long term, and Daniels could regress a little bit. So it's not all over for the Bears, but things would be looking a lot better for this season if they had Daniels instead of Williams, because Daniels is a certified top 5 quarterback this year. The Bears, even though they have a terrible reputation for the offensive line, they actually have a pretty decent pass blocking situation, as they rank 12th in pass blocking when combining PFF's pass blocking grade with ESPN's win rate for pass blocking, which is a bit misleading insofar as the Bears do have a ton of injuries on the line that prevents them from being as good as they actually should be, but throughout the season they've still ranked roughly top 10, which is something that doesn't get talked about because in large part there's a really bad situation with Caleb Williams holding on to the ball for a long time, which makes the line look a lot worse than it actually is. So things look worse than they actually are for the supporting cast. And in addition to that, things look worse for their receiving options too, because Williams has been inaccurate with a lot of his passes, which doesn't even give his receivers an opportunity to make a play. Rome Odunze has been their number one guy, which is somewhat surprising because DJ Moore is historically a fantastic receiver. But Odunze is 54th in yards per game and 23rd in yards per reception, which are both really good. He is a fringe number 1 receiver. He should be a number 2. I think he was billed as that, ideally, coming out of the draft as well. That franchise guy was very astute in that observation, where he was calling him a great number 2 and a little bit of a less ideal number 1. So far, that looks to be the case. But again, Odunze is a rookie, so he could be better as time progresses. DJ Moore, as I mentioned before, very good. He is 57th in yards per game and 93rd in yards per reception. So he's not quite what he usually is, but that is, again, in no small part due to Caleb Williams struggling, as Williams is not really able to hit the deep ball with any proficiency, which holds back DJ Moore's deep downfield prowess and yards per reception, obviously. And just, if he can't do that, which is one of the special things of DJ Moore, he's obviously going to be held back in yards per game also. Keenan Allen, he is maybe slowing a bit down due to age, but is still a solid third option, which is weird to say because he's been the first or second option throughout basically his entire career, if not his entire career. Allen is 91st in yards per game and 103rd in yards per reception, so he's very solid for a third option. He is still a fantastic route runner and has reliable hands, so he is a very proficient receiver in his own right. Cole Kmet, one of the more divisive players in the league, I would say. Some people overrate him, others underrate him. He's 20th in yards per game for tight ends and 13th in yards per reception for tight ends. So he is a solid contributor, but he's not fantastic by any stretch. moving forward, their offense is held back by their rushing attack, if you can call it that, as they're 24th in rushing expected points added and also 24th in rushing success rate, which, if you don't know what those stats are, I have a video that breaks them down. It's an awesome stat because it defines how well an offense, defense, quarterback, rushing offense, you name it, how well they're doing. So it's very useful in basically defining everything football related. They are not good, though, as evident by their ranks being 24th in both regards. What they are good at, though, and they are fantastic at, is their defense. They rank 5th in defensive expected points added and 6th in success rate for defense, which shows that they are great on a play-by-play basis, and they're also not giving up big chunk plays. So they are really legit on that side of the ball. They are absolutely one of the best defenses in the entire league. I would say out of their 11 starters, they have 7 above average starters, with Jalen Johnson being the star of the show, who's a top 5 cornerback in the league. They also have Kyler Gordon, who's great as a run defending nickel, which is really valuable because nickel is such a multifaceted position that being able to defend the run and cover is highly valuable. And he's great as a run defender. He's pretty good as a pass coverage guy. I would say he's much better against the run than he is in coverage, but he isn't bad in coverage either. At safety, Elijah Hicks is a balanced option. He's not really weak in coverage or against the run. And Kevin Byard is the same way, which is really fascinating because he's always been a ball hawk, but he's been a bit rough against the run in some years. And this year, he's actually just fantastic in both aspects. So he is a great, great safety. As for their edge defending options, they actually have 2 good edges now, which is really saying a lot because in as recently as last year, they only had 1, but now they have 2. They have Sweat, who is very good overall. He is really just a balanced edge. He defends the run at a above average level, and he gets after the passer at a very high level. So he's very good. And then they have DeMarcus Walker, who is, I would say, a little bit more reversed. He is more of a run defender than he is a pass rusher, but he is very competent at both aspects. Again, that is a kind of common theme with their defenders. They're good across the board, which is very nice because they allow basically nothing to be attacked as a result of that. They also have Gervin Dexter, who is a solid defensive tackle. He is very young, so he is going to hopefully continue developing and maybe one day be one of the elite defensive tackles in the entire NFL, as he's already on a very good track for that, as he is very, very solid. As for their issues on defense, they only have 2 poor defenders, and it's kind of interesting who one of them is, as Tremaine Edmonds is a poor run defender, which is a bit surprising as they paid him top of the line money for linebacker, and he has not really paid them back in any way. So that's very disappointing. He's not living up to the hype that he was getting from Buffalo. And Tyreek Stevenson, most notorious for getting into it with the crowd in the Washington Hail Mary situation, but he is also just not playing well this season either. He's not really covering well. He's all right as a run defender, but not good. He is really struggling this season, and that is really holding their back as a unit, which is so disappointing because Jalen Johnson is so good, and the rest of their defense is also really solid for the most part. Those are my thoughts on the Bears. Be sure to let me know what yours are in the comment section, and also be sure to like and subscribe for more NFL content.